States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please bow your head? Dear God, we thank you for bringing us here tonight. We ask that you give this council the wisdom and the strength to do the right things for the great city, and this we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Hutchins.
Present.
Candia.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina.
Present.
Mayor Caden.
Present. Thank you. We'll go to item 5, declaration of conflicts of interest. I think we have any this evening. Item 6, ceremonial matters, and we don't have any of those either. Item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Member of the public wish to address council. Now is the time to do it. Julie, have anything? Okay. Item 8, consent calendar. Waive all readings of ordinances, resolutions set by title. B is approval of the minutes of the June 10, 2014 meeting. C is approval of the city manager contract extension and amendment. Council direction.
I move that we approve the consent calendar as read.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll go to item 9, public hearings, and we don't have any this evening. Item 10, regular business. A, report on 2014 Newman Fall Festival. Lieutenant Short.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Tonight before you is the report on the Newman Fall Festival 2014. The routine street closures that we have around the event, or the streets around the park, are Fresno Q. Our street will be the one that's closed the earliest on Wednesday, the 27th, from 5 a.m. until Monday, September 1st at noon. That's where the carnival will be. The other streets will be closed for the weekend. The Fall Festival Parade street closure will be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That'll be from Mariposa Street, from S to Main, and from Main and Mariposa to Fresno, and Fresno back towards the park. Additional scheduled events would be the fashion show, which has a tentative date of Sunday, August 24th at the theater. The Miss Newman contest, Thursday the 28th at the theater. The Bailey's Legacy Fun Run has an 8 a.m. start on Saturday the 30th, which will traverse the west side of the city for a 5K and a 1-mile run. And the Evening Under the Stars event, formerly known as the Wine and Cheese, will be scheduled for the downtown plaza on Friday the 29th from 7 to 11 p.m. Some certain standards are being requested to be waived for the Evening Under the Star events in the plaza. The day of operation will be a Friday event. The hours, they want to have their event go until 11 p.m. Music hours of operation until 11 p.m. The committee asks that the cleanup deposit be waived. Waive ordinance 9-1-021, drinking in public for that event area and time frame. To waive the electrical and restroom use fees, and to waive the glass cup and bottle usage standard. All other standards would apply. The Fall Festival Committee has also secured their $3 million insurance liability policy with the city named as an additional insured. Organizing Committee is requesting city services which have been provided in the past, and is aware that any costs not covered by council action would be the responsibility of the Fall Festival Committee. Other requests would be to waive the business license fees for vendors in the park, Fall Festival exclusive use of the city park, waive the permit to have alcohol in the park, and authorize the use of the entire park as a beer garden. The police department has been working with the Fall Festival Committee to assess police coverages. Previous security issues for this event have involved intoxicated subjects and altercations involving juveniles and young adults. The Fall Festival Committee has again retained private security to cover carnival security and overnight park security. Fiscal impact, the police department will again fully staff this event with all its reserve officers and full-time officers. It's staff's recommendation that all applicable costs be invoiced to the Fall Festival Committee. And this report is submitted for your consideration and action. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments for Lieutenant Short? Okay. I just have a couple of comments, and I know that the cost for police services over the years, previously, a long time ago, the city used to bear the cost of police services. And I think last year it was somewhere around, the cost around $3,000 for police services. I know that this Fall Festival Committee this year is requesting that that amount is acceptable to Fall Festival Committee,
Yes.
that you guys could afford to do that.
Yes.
So I would just say, Julie, maybe continue to work with Lieutenant Short and Chief Richardson to see if you can hammer out whatever costs are involved.
I believe that was an agreement that Michael gave our treasurer last year. It was a flat rate coming from the city hall side, not necessarily the police department
Okay.
side. We're well aware that the police department goes above and beyond for us that weekend, and we want to pay our fair share, but we are a nonprofit and we just don't want to pay in excess. And it seemed like our bill had creeped up over the past few years, and we just don't like any surprises no more.
No, I agree with that. And I think if you just continue to work with the police department, with Michael, and try to keep those costs down as much as the city can. And, I mean, it's a good event for the city, and just from prior experience, I know there's some issues that do arise from time to time, but that can happen on any given night. But due to the fact that there's a large amount of alcohol being sold in the park, it does create a few issues. But I think relatively, it was fairly non-eventful last year, wasn't it, for the most part? Yeah. So we'll attribute that to the good work of the police department. Okay, so if there's no other questions or comments?
Ed, is it still most or a lot of the costs borne through payback days?
Full-time staff does
Yeah.
have payback days. There'll be 4 on one day that's full-time, and then 5 reserves that are paid.
Okay, so most of the cost is going to be for the reserve. not
Reserve
for the-
cost. Yeah.
Now, do we need to make a motion on this, or, because it just says report out, do we need to make a motion, City Manager Holland?
Yeah, I want to go ahead and approve the report with the request, because there are certain requests that you have to waive that have been requested by the Fall Festival Committee.
Well, I would make a motion that we accept the report as read, and based on the requests for waivers, that those waivers be accepted by the council.
I'll second that motion.
Been a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Go to item B. Approved fiscal year 2014-2015 annual budget as presented in the preliminary budget document.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Back on May 27th, at our council meeting, we passed out copies of the budget for everybody to review. Those that were not in attendance at that meeting had copies mailed out to them. On June 10th, last week, we had our workshop and spent an hour going through and discussing the budget in detail. We discussed several issues, including the 911 costs and future of pensions, if we can make any changes to those. The two resolutions that are before you tonight, one is accepting the budget for next fiscal year. The other resolution is approving the GAN appropriations limit calculation. The appropriation limit calculation is based on the state. We fall way below that amount, and it would not come into effect in our case. Be happy to answer any questions you may still have regarding the budget.
Council's had an opportunity after the budget hearing and have the budget with you to read. Anybody submit any questions or comments to the staff? Everybody happy with it?
The only comment I would make, and it's a comment I think I make every year, is I still believe, even though it costs us more money, that we're in need of a full-time recreation director to oversee all recreational activities within the City of Newman and City of Newman parks. I know that there are volunteer organizations that, such as the baseball organization, that do volunteer and do a fair amount of work, but there's still a lot of stuff that I believe gets overlooked because we don't have somebody from the city. I understand that it costs, I believe, $43,000 more, but I still believe that we are running enough activities now, even if it costs a little bit, slight bit more per child, that, or even if we didn't charge anymore. This is something that I think is needed by the city. But that's just my feelings.
Duly noted.
I concur with Don. I believe the same. I was going to mention it too, but glad you did.
Well, I think this, I mean, the council, you know, we've talked about before, and I think if it's council's direction that you'd like to go in that direction in the future, you know, based on the city manager's recommendation, if he thinks we can afford it or not, and obviously he doesn't feel we can afford it at this time, but maybe it's something that we can build in the future. You know, I would leave that to, my opinion, I'd leave that to our city manager and his infinite wisdom if we're in position to do that or not.
Mayor, I guess my only comment would be is currently the only recreational program we don't run is baseball. So that would, in essence, be why we would be bringing a full-time recreation director on if we wanted to assume control of the baseball program. If we assume control of the baseball program, I think we would need to do more in-depth analysis to see it's not just a cost of providing a full-time recreation director. We would have to purchase equipment. We would have to do a lot of other things I think that go along with it. Baseball is a 6-day-a-week program. Rec director only works 5 days a week. I mean, there's a lot of other things that we're more than happy to do if that's the council's direction, that essentially what we're trying to do with a full-time director would be take over the baseball program. Right? And again, that's a program that runs January, February through May, June. There's all-star tournaments in the summer. There's other things that go on there. So am I hearing that's, I don't really see any other recreational opportunities that we would be enhancing by moving that position to full-time?
I think my only question is, would it be cost effective for us to do that? I mean, because our baseball program is short. I mean, I remember when it used to run through the summer, and then it changed over the years because I think the thought process behind it is they wanted to get the season over with so families could go away on vacation or whatever. I've heard that. I don't know if that's factual or not. I remember when I was involved in it years ago, it ran all summer long, and we didn't finish up until it was after June or even in July. And then we got into the all-star tournaments and things, which we used to host them here. I don't know if we still do, but we used to host all-star tournaments here as well. So I don't know if it'd be cost-effective just to assume the baseball, softball program, unless we could enhance it and make it bigger. I don't know.
Yeah, so my question, I guess, to the council would be, are there other programs in the recreational department that we would like to see brought to our community? You know, right now, tonight, there's 22 kids doing a soccer camp I believe, at Sherman Park. We have fit kids during the day, during the summer. We have basketball, we have volleyball camps. We have other camps that are taking place during the summer. Are there other programs that you believe we're missing that we should be providing to our community? So that would be some of the conversations I'd like to have with the council. If we decided we wanted to move into a direction of a full-time rec director, what would be our ultimate goal with that promotion in terms of taking it from a part-time to a full-time? What would be our goal in terms of the additional activities or events or enhancements that we'd be being provided to the community outside of baseball? If baseball is solely the same thing, understood, we can look at that, we can do an in-depth analysis. Or are there other things that we're trying to accomplish with converting that to a full-time position?
Yeah, I don't know. And if you think, Don, maybe we want to create a subcommittee to look into some of the things along with the city manager and come up with some ideas. I don't know. I'm kind of torn.
Well, when I look at cost effectiveness, I'm not just looking at the programs. I'm looking at most of the things that we utilize are city parks. And we depend on other people to take care of a lot of the stuff, especially in baseball and softball. So there's also a liability factor there if they don't take care of it, which this year they haven't. I can go out to Materi right now, and there are holes along the baselines because the bases have come out that they said that they were going to fix and never did. There are lights out at the field. There are liability factors, I think, that are involved, and we really don't have anybody to say, okay, if you're going to do this, get out there and do it. And we really have no authority to tell the baseball board. They say they will, but it hasn't been done. So it's not just cost effectiveness as far as programs, it's a liability that I look at on the side of the city, because every one of these parks belongs to the city.
Does our staff maintains the fields, correct?
Correct.
The karate tournament karate club could use some help. They get nothing from the city except to use the Newman building twice a week.
The Public Works doesn't maintain the baseball fields.
They maintain the field, they don't stripe them, and they don't prep them for games, but they mow them, and they take care of the fencing and some of those things. Now, when it comes to doing some of the improvements before the season, our Public Works Department works with the baseball board to decide who's going to take care of what. Some of those improvements, the baseball says, okay, our volunteers on work day are going to do this, and the city agrees that they're going to do other things like fixing the fencing and a few other things. So, but that's kind of how it's worked in the past. Combination of both. But we mow the lawns, we water the lawns, we just don't stripe the fields. And we don't. And the baseball boards are the ones that actually get out there in the early season, turn the dirt over, and level the field and put new cinder on there as well.
But if they don't do that, if they don't fix the holes that are where bases have come out, the baseball board is not the one that's going to face the liability if somebody gets hurt out there. It's the city
They
of
provide the
Newman.
liability insurance, but the city has additional insured on that because they're the ones actually hosting the games at that time. So it would be on a league event, a league function, and we would be an additionally insured on their insurance.
But it's also a public park that can be used by citizens at any time.
I think I'm going to go back.
And I understand what you're saying, and I understand,
But our full-time rec director does not deal with that issue. That's more of a public works park maintenance. Recreation does not. The recreation director in the past, when we had a full-time one, didn't really get into the maintenance of the parks. That's more of the public works superintendent and the director and the staff, as opposed to the recreation director. That's the way, when we had a full-time operator, that's what she did.
I guess I understand what you're saying, Don, and I somewhat agree. I guess it'd be like anything else. I mean, we're sued because people trip and fall on our sidewalks, and and I guess somebody could get hurt at a baseball field and sue us as well. It's deep pockets. People just like to sue. So I don't know if it's in any increased liability or not. I guess because you can be sued for anything. Short of us posting those fields, no outside play, period. I'd hate to come to that, but I think if this council is inclined to look towards the possibility of a full-time rec person, then I think as a council we can ask staff to look into it, bring what costs might be involved, setting aside that there's some liability issues as well. I think liability, you can be sued for anything.
Right. Mayor, and I'll just say again, staff is happy to sit down with a subcommittee of the council and talk, and I know Councilmember Candia and Councilmember Hutchins have expressed an interest. More than willing to sit down with both of those two gentlemen,
I think it
council
sounds
members,
like a
and
great subcommittee.
and pick their brain and see what they envision, where they would like the rec programs to go, and to see if we can map out a course to get to and achieve those goals. be more than willing to do that before a meeting one time, kind of similar to what we did today, where we just came in 45 minutes or an hour early and just talk it out a little bit, and then that'll give us some guidance in terms of what we can look at and report back to you. We're more than happy to do that.
I would propose that Councilman Candia and Hutchins compose that subcommittee and work with the city manager.
Well, that sounds great.
And,
I'd like to
come
make a
up with some
motion and a
ideas.
second, all at one time.
Well, I look at it, this is an investment in the youth
Absolutely.
of the
Of the
city.
community, yeah. No, I agree. I mean, all
It really is.
seriously,
You think about it for a
it
minute.
is. And I have to tell you, I've been jabbing back and forth with a resident of Gustine because she talks about, she wishes Gustine had recreation programs that Newman does. And she has her kids involved in our programs here. And so I take every opportunity to let her know that we do have the best programs and
Well, I've
it's-
heard some of the programs that they have in Patterson, which, I mean, few here and there. And that sounds pretty, interesting.
Well, and one comment she made, it is the Fit Kids program, the soccer camp and the different things, but she's a parent who's looking to keep her child involved all summer long in programs that the City of Gustine, is not able, for whatever reason, to provide, so she brings her children here. And she just rants and raves about our programs.
So, I
So,
mean, we talk about, in the West Side Healthcare Task Force, we talk about childhood diabetes. And, I mean, what a better way to keep the kids out on the, exercise and this and that prevent some of that. To me, I look at $40,000 if you, help a couple of kids, that's well worth the money spent.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
yeah. Lou, you have something to say?
I think you guys are doing great.
Okay, so with all the comments
It's not
and
in the budget.
our subcommittee now intact, I'm still looking for item B, approval of the budget. Do we have a motion? Did I lose a motion somewhere?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Adopt resolution number 2014, next number, a resolution adopting the budget for the fiscal year 2014, 2015.
I second that motion.
there's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And as subcommittee members, please feel free to convene at any time and start working with the city manager. It's great.
Mayor, we actually have a second resolution that we would like the council to consider tonight, and that's the appropriations limits.
Okay.
It would be item 10B2.
Item 10B2.
Okay, I make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2014, next number, a resolution establishing the appropriation limits for fiscal year 2014, 2015.
I'll second that motion.
And a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll skip item 11 since Jim's not here. Thank you, Lou. Item 12, items from city manager.
Mayor, I don't really have anything to report other than the cheaters in the recreation department won the city softball tournament.
It was a hard-fought game.
It's a hard-fought game.
Which is another reason that we have to figure out a way that we can control those people.
I can tell you the city administration and probably the police department have added new questions to our interviews.
Ah, yeah,
When we seek new personnel for our departments.
Yeah,
Have you ever played softball?
yeah.
What's your experience? What position do you play? Do you have any kids that play?
Well,
In
just,
other words, you got outfoxed.
We did.
well, it was amazing. I saw these people Friday night, and I kept asking Michael, "Who's that? Who's that?" And
Mayor, we had less people under 30 than the rec department had in high school.
it was a fun night. We had a great time. Great time.
They need it.
It was a good time.
For their ego.
Yeah. Okay, anything else, Michael?
No, thank you.
All right. Chief, anything?
I don't have anything.
How's the shoulder?
Little sore, but it'll
Little
be all
sore?
right.
I told Chief no workers' comp cases.
But that was one great play.
Thank you.
It was. It was a great play. It was. Steph, anything this evening?
Nothing tonight.
You did a great job Friday night.
Tried.
You did a great
Fell down
job.
pretty good.
How's your leg?
I have a little bruise, no big deal.
Lou, anything?
Nothing's right.
Send me anything?
there's a good news to share.
Oh, like good news.
Yes. The PG&E LED streetlight project turnkey process was conducted, and we found that the final, the cost is about $20,000 less. So the city is going to pay off the 0% loan in 5 years, not 6.5 years.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. That is good news. Thank you. Okay, I'm from council members. Nick?
Nothing.
Nothing? Bob?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Roberta?
Nothing.
Donna?
Nothing.
I don't have anything. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night, everybody. Thank you.